Hi, I'm Heather with Kids Agriculture in Box in the Agriculture in Box shop. And I have been in agriculture education for almost 20 years. And I have a master's in youth education for career, technical, and leadership education. So today we're going to talk about different agriculture education learning tips, and we're going to talk about understanding the four learning styles and how to incorporate them into agriculture education. So, why teaching and learning about learning styles is that every child learns differently. And we need to recognize that each of them has their own unique learning styles. So, think about yourself and your students or your kids or any members that you work with, and think about all the different personalities and all the different ways that each of them retain information. So, in my family, for instance, my husband is an auditory learner. I am a more of a kinesthetic learner, and I also need to be able to visually see things and hear things. And my son is one that needs to see more of the visual aspect and learn by doing as well. So, different learning styles, different ways of learning. So, we are going to go ahead and talk about those because they're important to be able to recognize that there are different learning styles, and we can use these learning styles to engage them in our learning and our education by presenting information in different ways that reach a broader range of the kids that we are working with. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, let me go ahead and change that. All right. So the four learning styles that resonate with our children or ourselves is one, the visual learner, two, the auditory learner, the kinesthetic learner, and then the reading and writing learner. And you can see there's different things that go with each of those learning styles, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into each of the four learning styles. So first we have the visual learner. And they learn best through sight. So, presentations, diagrams, they thrive on things that they can see and spatial learning and images. So, any of those things listed there presentation, diagrams, drawings, models, and handouts would be for the visual learner. The auditory learner, they learn best through sound, like guest speakers, videos, music, discussion, repeating concepts, songs, and things like that, where they're listening to it and they're able to hear them and do the different things. So they learn best by listening and through discussions with their learning style. And we'll talk a little bit more about ways how to incorporate these into different learning aspects too. The kinesthetic learner is one that learns by doing. So they like the tactile activities where they can use their hands and hands-on things with movement and games, acting and demonstrating things. So they have to be moving and learning with their hands through their learning experiences. The learner that likes reading and writing as their style, so they're going to learn through the written word. So they're going to read articles, they like to read books, they like to write things down when they are learning. So creating fact sheets and things like that. They like worksheets, they like researching things and looking things up. So that is the reading and writing learner. So far we have the four learning styles. Is there one that resonates with you of which learning style that you might be personally as well? So let's dive even deeper into the visual learner and learn about ways that we can engage them and look a little bit more into each of those things that they engage with when they are visually learning things. So one of those things is infographics that we mentioned. So as a educator or teacher or presenter, we can create infograms about things like the crop growth cycle, the animal life cycle, see things that they can visually see of the different things there. So our livestock anatomy worksheets, our when we're talking about food chain supply, where things originate with breeds, with breed origins, if they can see the map and see where they come from with those breed origins. So they like to see those with those infographics there. Another thing, obviously, is videos. So short educational videos about farming practices, machinery, or agricultural processes. So those from reputable YouTube sites, or eventually we're going to have our agriculture unboxed library that will have different videos on it as well. But videos that they can actually see the processes is another way that the visual learner shall learn. Charts and graph is another way that they learn. So they use graphs to demonstrate data, such as how many apples are pollinated by different bees. They like to graph things there. You can see that example up in the right-hand corner. They like to do things like graphing rainfall impact on crop yields or livestock population trends, or charts that help them categorize different things into areas that they can visually see. So we have a example of the retail meat cut identification chart that they use the different wholesale cuts, and they can use that chart and put down the different, visually see where the different cuts go. Or you have the My Trough chart here that categorizes the different feeds into nutrient groups. So they had to visually see the different educational concepts that they are trying to learn there. So those are some examples of the charts and graphs that you can use in that learning style. All right, mapping activities is another good one that they, as a visual learner, incorporating GIS mapping to teach about farm layouts or crop rotations as an example. But mapping activities, again, they can visually see the concept that they are learning there with those different concepts. Timelines is another good one. Labeling diagrams, all those different things that they can visually work with. Great. A little bit more about the auditory learner. Again, they absorb information best through listening and discussions. So what are some ways that we can engage them? So podcasts and audio clips are a good one. My husband likes to listen to podcasts. I like to listen to him too, but not as much as he does, because I can listen to them, but I don't absorb the information. So the auditory learner actually absorbs information from the things that they hear, and that's their style of learning, because they can absorb that information and engage that information in their minds. So sharing podcasts, again, about farming stories and the science about agriculture, those type of things is what the auditory learner will like. They like those family or class discussions where a topic is given and they can talk about it and learn from it that way. So facilitating group discussions about topics like sustainable farming practices, why the egg prices are so high. So having those discussions in auditory ways where they can verbally and listen to those things as well is ways that they like. So they like to perform songs too. Again, another way that they listen. So songs and rhymes. So creating catchy tunes to help them remember agriculture facts, such as the parts of the plant or the water cycle. Those are all different ways that they learn, and different ways that you can incorporate those type of learning opportunities with your kids or family or groups that you're working with, or classrooms as well. Guest speakers are another good one for them, to have a guest speaker come and talk to them about their experiences. So veterinarians, pathologists, farmers talking about different ways that they farm, or if you have a livestock club, having someone in talking about showing all those different things as another auditory way of learning with guest speakers. Hosting a question and answer session with a panel of professionals is another way. So then we have our reading and writing learners. And again, they excel by the written words and text-based learning. So how can we engage them into our learning processes? So they're the ones that like the fact sheets. So providing detailed handouts about agriculture topics, such as livestock or crops or breeds, or having them create their own fact sheets is a way to incorporate their learning styles into your educational experiences. So you can see here we have a terms and fact sheet there for grains, We have the farm animal taxonomy cards there that have all the different terms for swine there on the bottom, and then it has how the pigs are classified in the taxonomy system. So they like different things like this when they're learning. So fact sheets and things that they can see the written word and or creating their own fact sheets is an excellent way too. They like journaling, so you can encourage your kids or students to document what they're observing with experiments, journal prompts, using their senses to describe what they're seeing. So using sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste, and writing about those in journal prompts so that they can write that down and do the learn about the different ideas. So writing their experiences is one way. So another thing they like to do is research projects. So assign them topics like the history of farming or the role of pollinators in education or what the best livestock breed is for X, whatever it might be. So have them research and look up those different things and come up with a paper on it or a fact sheet, different things so that they can use that written word that they find there to learn about the different things. So quizzes and worksheets, so written assessments to reinforce key concepts. So crosswords, fill in the blanks, quizzes, all those different things are things that they like to use to reinforce in what they're learning because that's how they understand things as a written reading and writing type learning style. And of course, we're going to learn a little bit more too that some of us are use more than one learning style when we're learning as well. So that's why it's important to incorporate many different learning styles and many different methods into our teaching so that we can engage everybody. So again, of course, the reading, writing learner will like books. So reading books about agriculture, booklets, pamphlets, those type of things as well. All right, so back to the kinesthetic learner. We have the kinesthetic learner that likes to learn from hands-on and they learn best through movement and tactile experiences again. So again, that's me. So some of those ways would be to have the students actually plant seeds and care for that garden or create your own garden at home and have them actually go through that process and hands-on and see that and go through the different details every day, how to care for those and water them and make sure they have all the things that they need. Going on farm visits is another thing. So organizing trips to local farms or a livestock show, those are all ways where students can interact with animals and the plants and things that they are see so they can, again, go through that movement, go through that tactile experience. Farmers market is another way to do that. Interactive experiments, so conducting things like soil test or extracting the DNA from a strawberry or finding out what gluten is and how it works within the bread and how that works to help that bread rise, what its purpose is, learning about those things and actually making the bread. Those are all part of interactive experiments and things that can be done with the kinesthetic learner. Building projects is another one. So simple models, building an irrigation system or a wind turbine or how a joint works with the balloons and popsicle sticks there, how the formation of the egg, the ruminant stomach, these are all simple models there. The top one there is one about livestock behavior and handling where they have to actually make a chute to get the hex bug or livestock bots from the pasture to the barn, and they have to build that and go through that building project. So those are all ways that we can engage then that kinesthetic learner in different methods as well. So as you can see, there's all kinds of different things that we can do, and we might have been incorporating them all along, but we didn't know how we were engaging our kids or our members in what we were doing. So coloring is another visual example of, I've mentioned about combinations of learners. So coloring is a combination of visual and kinesthetic learning. So coloring sheets, drawing those things, type of things, drawing the model, those type of things are all part of, visual and kinesthetic learning, because you are visually seeing things come alive and you're working through that and coloring them tactilely. Flashcards are another thing that combines visual and kinesthetic learning. That you are able to use those cards and manipulate them in different ways, whether you are just looking at the front of them, identifying them and reading the things on the back of them as a kinesthetic piece. You can be putting those in different categories, like we see at the top picture there, where we're putting the different retail meat cuts with the wholesale cuts there. And again, visually, we can see the breed of the animal or the plant on the top front, and then on the back we have that information to visually see that. So it actually can be reading or writing as well, combination with flashcards, because then the back is also information that they are reading and learning there. And with flashcards, you can add an auditory learning aspect of it too, and have them read to their partner or to you and read those out loud, or you can read those to them and then have them guess what you're talking about then with those characteristics there. So you're speaking verbally, the auditory concept, where they are listening for those facts and able to get that. So you can use flashcards in many different ways too. Certain games combine visual and kinesthetic learning. So the top there, we have a dichotomous key type situation with the charts, and we are sorting beans there. So we're using visual and then tactile ways of going through that different chart to sort out the different beads. So again, all kinds of different learnings there. The bottom picture is a dice from either the water cycle, the carbon cycle, and the nitrogen cycle. And we are using those dice in worksheets and movement to be able to teach the different concepts of those cycles. So those are the four types of learning styles in different ways that we can engage and incorporate those into our educational things that we are doing with our kids in our members, our classrooms. So I hope this was an excellent tool for you. And if you'd like more information, you can go to the Agriculture Unboxed shop, and we have different blog posts and things on there as well. And we'll have those in the description that you can read more about those as well. If you're a reading writing person, you can go there and read those blogs. Or this presentation was for the visual learner, right? Or if you're the auditory learner, just listen to the sound, and there you have it. So again, incorporating different learning styles into things we do will engage our kids and have a broader understanding of learning. So thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful day.